These are very serious times. We need serious leaders. Donald Trump is deeply unserious and very unwell. The images I showed at the beginning of this video, it's the aftermath of successful Ukrainian drone strikes against Russian rail systems as Ukraine does everything in its power to stop Putin from using those rail systems and other infrastructure to kill innocent Ukrainians each and every night. While that is taking place, Donald Trump was wandering like he was lost on top of the White House roof yesterday, ranting and raving about building nuclear weapons systems on top of the White House, and Donald Trump ranting and raving to reporters below about how he finances everything, how he pays for all of this, he says, pointing around how he doesn't take a salary, which he's upset that nobody mentions. While we do mention that you go on vacations every weekend or you take trips to Scotland to promote your businesses on the taxpayer dime or vacations on the taxpayer dime. But Donald Trump's like, I buy all of this. This is all mine. This is all my money. What in the world are you talking about? These are deeply serious times. And what is the Trump regime doing? Well, you have Donald Trump and his top officials. They will be meeting at J.D. Vance's residence today to discuss their next moves on the cover-up of Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. The headline from CNN, top Trump officials discuss Epstein strategy at Wednesday dinner hosted by Vance. That's what they're spending their time doing. Or how about this headline here? Ghislaine Maxwell in DOJ interview said nothing that would be harmful to Donald Trump, according to sources. As we wrote on the MeidasTouch account, wild how MAGA sees a, quote, deep state conspiracy in literally everything. But when the government, the Trump regime, buries evidence tying Trump to Jeffrey Epstein and starts bribing Epstein's co-conspirator, they suddenly go blind. Let's be clear. Anyone helping cover up for Trump is complicit in a cover up for child sex traffickers. That is what is happening. And what is Donald Trump trying to do to distract? Well, there was news that Donald Trump has opened up a criminal investigation into Democratic Senator Adam Schiff. Donald Trump has opened up a criminal investigation into former President Obama and James Comey and others in the Obama administration. Donald Trump is seeking to subpoena Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in connection with Jeffrey Epstein, but not Alex Acosta, who was literally Trump's labor secretary during his first term, who was the United States attorney who gave Epstein the sweetheart non-prosecution deal. The American people see what's going on. In the new YouGov poll that just came out, the question was asked, is the government covering up evidence about Epstein? 68% of respondents say yes. Only 9% of respondents say no. And there was a handful of people who just did not know one way or another to respond. Folks, these are deeply serious times. And as Donald Trump likes to pretend that he has been the best for black jobs, as Donald Trump calls it. He's the best for black jobs, he says. Well, we've learned that black unemployment soared to 7.2% in July, the highest since the pandemic era peak of 7.6% in October 2021, according to the U.S. Labor Department of Statistics, which Donald Trump will probably fire the additional people who prepared that. So after Donald Trump wandered aimlessly on the White House roof yesterday and started talking about nuclear weapons and how he's bought everything around him, Donald Trump gave an interview on CNBC where Donald Trump made a horrific statement where he was like, migrants, basically he's saying Latino migrants, their backs were built to be farm laborers. So you need them on the farms because if they get injured, he says, you die if you're a Latino laborer. He goes, we've been trying to get the inner city people, he's referring to black people, to work the farms, but they just don't want to do it, he says. So we're going to have to figure out how to get the other migrants to go back and work on the farms that they've deported. Just listen to him in his own words, how he describes it. Here, play this clip.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally. and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
And then Donald Trump talked about how the European Union was giving him $600 billion to invest in anything that Donald Trump wants. Of course, this is a total lie, as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski writes. This is just an absurd, made-up lie. The EU is not giving Donald Trump $600 billion. They're not giving him $1 to invest. It's an astonishing thing that just the president of the United States goes on a financial network and lies like this, and it barely registers. It registers here on the MeidasTouch network. Play this clip.
Mr. President, what kind of teeth, though, are in those investments? What kind of teeth are in those investments, meaning that would force the EU to make those investments? If they don't make those investments, what happens on the other side?
Well, then they pay tariffs of 35%. No, they brought down their tariffs. So they paid $600 billion. And because of that, I reduced their tariffs from 30% down to 15%. And a couple of countries came, how come EU is paying less than us? And I said, well, because they gave me $600 billion. And that's a gift. That's not like, a loan, by the way. That's not a loan that, 3 years comes up, we have to pay it back. There's nothing to pay back. They gave us $600 billion that we can invest in anything we want.
The deal that
and nobody knows it, Becky. Nobody knows it because they don't know.
No, we have been trying to figure out the details on that, Mr. President. So
there are no details.
Clarity on
that. The details are $600 billion to invest in anything I want. Anything. Okay. I can do anything I want with it. And the purpose was they've been ripping us for so many years that it's time that they pay up, and they have to pay up. We couldn't afford to have the deficits. Look, I did something with Switzerland the other day. I spoke to their prime minister. The woman was nice, but she didn't want to listen. And they paid essentially no tariffs. And I said, we have a $41 billion deficit with you, madam. I didn't know her. I said, we have a $41 billion deficit, and you want to pay 1% tariffs. You wanted 1%. I said, you're not going to pay 1%. We lose because I view deficit as loss.
Folks, and across the board, everything this Trump regime does is idiotic. Whether it's the Trump Department of Health defunding or removing funding regarding the mRNA vaccines and anything related to vaccines, whether it's RFK Jr. saying the agriculture department's cracking down on small farmers selling raw milk. Meanwhile, the USDA and FDA allow big corporations to pour toxic chemicals into our food and soil. I will reverse those priorities. Well, all these raw milk proponents, that's what our government. They're anti-vax and they're raw milk proponents. And they're pro-ivermectin, horse tranquilizers. Well, raw milk from Florida farm sickens 21 people, including 6 children, according to health officials. Guess what? This all has consequences. The MeidasTouch Network, we also unearthed the older video of Donald Trump with some of his other schemes like fund anything. He would always surround himself with just these little girls. I mean, look how young these girls look like around him here. And I'm not going to show the video. I showed it yesterday where Donald Trump's like, I'm literally giving you my money. You want $5,000? Go to fundanything.com. I will give you all of my money. That's from 2013. Also, the New York Times did a pretty good story yesterday, taking readers inside of Epstein's 7-story townhouse, which Woody Allen, he's got his own issues, of course, referred to as Castle Dracula, where young female vampires serviced the place. I mean, just look at this hellhole right here, how scary it looks. These are the people who Donald Trump is covering up for, and it's absolutely despicable. Oh, this was Donald Trump on the roof. Trump wandering around on the roof, shouting at reporters. Play this clip. And here was Donald Trump talking about building nuclear missiles on the roof. Play this clip.
Mr. President, what do you want to build? What are you trying to build? Sir, you approve? You saying more missiles? Are you building missiles? What? Come on, Dad.
That might be missiles.
Did you say missiles?
Taking over all of Gaza, sir.
So here was the front page of Drudge yesterday. Poll, Trump on the ropes. Ratings historically low. 39% approval from men. He wants nukes on the White House roof. And then the White House official account posted Donald Trump on the roof. And the White House account goes, have you seen the Sydney Sweeney ad? And they post a photo of Donald Trump shouting that at the roof. Do you see the Sydney Sweeney ad? All of the comments just rip Donald Trump to shreds. Don't you have better things to be doing? This is an unserious administration. Embarrassing. So incredibly creepy. Why is an 80-year-old man who is the president of the U.S., mind you, commenting on the hotness of young women? Oh, that's because he is and always will be an inappropriate predatory creep. And you, whoever took the soul-killing job of being their social media person, you know it too. Then other people go, ew, man, what? Dude, she's 27, 15 years too old for you. Also, the Weather Service realizes as we're heading into hurricane season, what a disaster it was to fire all of their people, as they saw in Texas. And they're now trying to frantically hire people back at the Weather Service. Let me read to you what President Zelensky said before I close about the situation in Ukraine. I think it's very important. Again, we live in very serious times, and Trump is a very unserious person. Zelensky writes, the Russians are now trying to make their attacks more intense. We in Ukraine fully support the American proposal for an immediate ceasefire. We've already tried many different formats, ways to stop the fighting, to stop the killing. We have spoken and offered Russia silence in the skies, an end to missile and drone strikes against civilian infrastructure in general, and specifically a halt to attacks on the energy sector. All of this was violated by Russia, and in a very cynical way. Not a single day has gone by without their terror against civilians. Not a single day have they given us real complete silence on the front line, and the root cause of this war is simply Russia's desire to control the lives of its neighbors, to subjugate them, to kill them. If not for that, there would be no war. It is extremely important that Moscow is beginning to feel the pressure of the world, the pressure from the United States, the threat of tougher sanctions for continuing the war. And hopefully, these, in these serious times, serious people can prevail on what's happening right now. I mean, to see Trump wandering the roof like that, and talking about getting $600 billion to spend it however he wants to. It's not normal. It's not okay. We're going to call it out on the MeidasTouch Network every single day. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching. Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.